Okay, so a very good morning to one and all present here online for the inaugural function of first batch of this short-term training program, also commonly addressed as STTP. It is an AICT sponsored 1 week STTP organized by Ballarpur Institute of Technology. And the title of this STTP is Biotechnology and its Application in Tribal Agriculture Areas. On behalf of Ballarpur Institute of Technology, I, Abhijit Dehatrai, welcome you with all my heart. Respected chief guest of for our STTP inaugural function, Honorable Dr. G. Balasubramani sir, all the respected faculty members and enthusiastic participants of this short-term training program, Honorable Patron of our institute, Mr. Sanjay Vasade sir, Director of Ballarpur Institute of Technology, Dr. Rajnikant Mishra sir, Coordinator of this faculty development program, Dr. Archana Nimkar ma'am, and all the organizing committee members of this faculty development program. It is a pleasure to have you all for the inaugural event of this short-term training program. It is to our observation very rightly said that by learning you will teach and by teaching you will learn. So is our experience as well. Furthermore, in today's ever-changing and evolving globally connected world, learning is a practice that cannot be compromised with, especially so by the teachers, lecturers, and professors. Again, as rightly said, who dares to teach must never cease to learn. I congratulate AICT for engaging in this continuous endeavor of learning and providing such opportunities to our fraternity to grow faster and better. Dear attendees, we would like to inform you that this is the first batch of this STTP starting today. It is a 1 week STTP which is and will be conducted from November 23rd to November 28th of this year 2020. As you are aware, this STTP is sponsored by AICT, that is All India Council for Technical Education. The topic of this STTP is biotechnology and its application in tribal agriculture areas. We hope that the expertise of our resource persons, active participation of the attending faculty members, and the combined curious nature of us all will make this STTP a happily educating experience. We repose a lot of confidence in you that all the respected attendees of this program will make it a huge success with their presence, participation, interaction, and experience sharing. So let us all convert this STTP in a lifetime learning experience. Once again, I welcome you all to attend and participate in batch 1 of All India Council for Technical Education approved 1 week short-term training program organized by Ballarpur Institute of Technology. Now I will request the director of our institute, Dr. Rajnikant Mishra sir, to share his opening remark. However, before he shares his remark, it is very important that I provide a short introduction. Just a minute. I'm sorry for the interruption, but there are many members who are in the process of joining, so I'll have to admit them, and only then we will be able to move ahead. So, Honorable Dr. Rajnikant sir is Principal and Director of Ballarpur Institute of Technology. He has completed his PhD from IIT Dhanbad. He has completed his MTech in Industrial Engineering and BE in Mining Engineering. He has published research papers in national and international journals. He is also a lifetime member of IIE and associate member of IEI. He has 1 patent registered and published. He is also he is also a manager second class certificate of competency to manage a mellifluous mine under MMR 1961. He has more than 25 years of teaching and industrial experience. May I request our honorable director and principal, Dr. Mishra sir, to please share his opening remarks. Over to you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Abhijit. Good afternoon to all my dear participants. It's a matter of pride and immense pleasure for us to organize an AICT-sponsored 1 week short-term training program on biotechnology and its application in tribal agriculture area. Also, I would like to extend my warmest welcome to Dr. G. Balasubramani, Principal Secretary, CICR Nagpur, and all the participants across the India who actively shown their keen interest in online learning. My dear friend, no one thought of this situation that we remain at home for such a long duration. But it gives us new opportunity to explore opportunity of online learning in our educational sector. Whenever I heard the word biotechnology, I always remember this simple statement: there where is a life, there is a DNA. Where there is a DNA, there is a biotechnology. According to me, new technological revolution in industrial and agriculture sector in the next dasak will be sustainable and beneficially influenced by biotechnology. There is a great potential for improving the agriculture productivity by modifying plant, animal, microorganism, and developing technique like vaccine, tissue, culture, genetic engineering, etc. The purpose of this 1 week short-term training program is to spread information about various biotechnological advancement and develop aware, especially in tribal area, by providing a common platform to biotechnologists, industrial manager, researcher, and professor. The main objective of the STTP program is to provide online virtual training and make all the individual aware about the various cutting edge technology used in agriculture, innovative methods, and hybrid skill mechanism that will be required for agriculture development in tribal area. The online STTP program will be delivered by eminent resource person, speaker from well-known university, institute, and industries. We all have an opportunity to prepare ourselves for better tomorrow. I wish you all a fruitful and unforgettable experience in the coming few days of through this online STTP. I hope that you will learn some of new things from this STTP. Let us all follow the advisory and precautionary measures laid down by the respective government authority and with to win the fight against coronavirus. Stay home, stay safe, and thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your opening remarks and for the caution that you have exercised. We will stay home, stay safe, and at the same time, we will keep striving in accordance with the rules prescribed by AICTE, as you mentioned. That is very, very important. Now, I would like to introduce our honorable chief guest for the inaugural function of this AICTE sponsored 1 week short-term training program. That is Dr. G. Balasubramani, sir. Dr. G. Balasubramani is a principal scientist in Indian Cotton Agricultural Research, Nagpur of Central Institute of Cotton Research. He is PhD in plant biotechnology from Tamil Nadu Agricultural University, Coimbatore. He has published more than 21 papers in international journals. He has also developed manuals of training courses for CICR on biotechnology, BT expression analysis by ELISA, that is ELISA, qualitative and quantitative methods, and also manual on plant biotechnology. List of projects handled by him as PI include molecular characterization and validation of fiber strength genes with fiber specific promoter for improvement in cotton, then gene stacking in BT cotton, development of cotton transgenics with improved fiber strength using cellulose synthase genes. He has also handled as PI ICAR network project on transgenics in crops cotton and cotton improvement by micro-injection with agronomic traits, heat resistant and defense genes. To his credit, he has registered 4 germplasm cotton lines which has Jacid tolerant and introgress derivatives. He has released 2 BT variety in 2017 and 2 BT variety in 2020, that is this year. To list his achievements further, he has cloned, sequenced and annotated the cellulose synthase gene, the dehydrin gene, the osmotin gene, the protease inhibitor gene. He has also obtained permission from GEAC for event selection trial for total 12 events of transgenic varieties. He is also a nominee of DBT representative in the Institutional Biosafety Committee for Green Gold Seeds Limited and RJ Biotech Limited to monitor recombinant DNA safety guidelines for personal and environmental safety. He has successfully established a molecular biology laboratory and greenhouse facility at CICR Nagpur. Dr. Balasubramani sir, it is indeed an honor for us to have you as our chief guest for batch 1 of this STTP. May I now request you to please address the audience for this inaugural session.
Thank you, Abhijit. Can you hear my voice?
Yes, sir, you are audible loud and clear.
Yeah. Thank you. Respected Principal Sir, Rajinikanth Sir, and Abhijit, who is consistently in touch with me regarding this program and is updating everything what's going on there. Thank you so much, Abhijit, and Principal Sir and other participants. So welcome to this inaugural speech. So now I will share with my slides. Can you see my slides?
Yes, sir.
Can you see this one?
Yes, sir. It says fruits of biotechnology.
Yes. So first we'll start with this this slide because this is necessary nowadays. So the 3 things you know everyone. You'll have to wear the mask, maintain the distance, social distance, and regularly wash your hands because mainly our entry point is the mouth and nose. Normally we touch by knowingly or unknowingly our mouth and nose. That's why we'll have to wash regularly because many times around 70 to 200 times we touch our face unknowingly. That's why we'll have to wash regularly. This is the compulsory by Government of India to put everywhere wherever we present the slides. So we'll start our the title today, Fruits of Biotechnology. Before going to that, just I would like to show that how the genesis, development it's happened in the research. First one is the domestication of the crops because the scientists first they started how to grow the crops according to the available resource and where it can grow. So like that first they started, that is called the domestication of the crops. For example, if you see that some area, for example, the cotton is more in the Maharashtra. So some crops are good in the rain where the rainwater is available. Some places, some crops are good in the where the water is available, rice and all, it will grow like that. So that is called the domestication of the crops. That we already did that one. So that is the selection also, we call it as natural selection. 10,000 years ago, we did that one. That is the research started. Later, they started the hybrid technology where you can see that the domestication of the corn, it was like, it's a weed. So later we got the Zea mays, that is the fruits, we got that one. So this is one example of how we, through help of the domestication, we got the crop, like the maize. And also we'll see how that we come forward or breakthrough we did in the science. So you know that Gregor Mendel, so that he is the father of the modern genetics also. So what he introduced the concept, but still we are following, even though there are a number of advancement has come in the biotechnology or through other means, still we follow the Mendel, the segregation pattern. That's why it's a breakthrough in the genetics. Second one is the discovery of the hybrid vigor. When you cross the two parents, the progeny would be the vigor, better than the parents. That is called the hybrid vigor, or you can call it as the heterosis. So this is the another breakthrough in the science. That is in 1920s. Then 1950s, they started the introducing mutations. Why we want to do the mutation is to create the variability, because our requirement keeps on increasing. To meet this requirement, we'll have to develop the new techniques. So after the hybrid technique, they started to introduce the mutations. Mutation also developed some of the advancement in the research. Then later they started the tissue culture and embryo rescue to develop some of the new varieties. Tissue culture, normally it started to induce the somatic variations, somatic embryogenesis or somatic variations. So that also gives some of the vigor in the plant system. That's why they started the tissue culture. So that was started in 1907, not two only, but it is successful in the 1960s. And also embryo rescue, normally what happens when you cross the unrelated species or on distance related species, the embryo get aborted. So that we can rescue through the tissue culture. So this work started in 1960s. 1962 is the best year where we got the modified genetic medium, like the MS medium in the 1962. Then later 1980s, the plant transformation and the genetically modification of GM crops, it was started in 1980s. So that is another breakthrough. Of course, in 2000, it's genomics, and now recently, the CRISPR-Cas. So this all the breakthrough in the science, especially in the plant science. Now, he is the first person, Dr. Paul Berg. He is the first person to design the rDNA molecules in 1972. Okay, so he wrote in the journal, he has urged to NIH to regulate the use of rDNA technology, because we do not know how these rDNA molecules will behave in the environment. We want that the environment should be safe and the human should be safe. So unless we understand the rDNA molecules biosafety, we cannot do much on the research. That's what he told in 1972. But if you say that don't do it, but people will start doing that one. So it's embedded into all the faculty. You can see that it's nothing is left. First it started industries, agriculture, forestry, horticulture, marine, environmental, animal husbandry. But successful is the medicine. Everywhere it's embedded. Now the latest is the bioinformatics. Bioinformatics, another where we can identify the important secrets of life with the help of the bioinformatics. This also started after this, the biotechnology developed. So now we pursued major problems in agriculture. Now I'm focusing, because I'm basically agriculture scientist, so I will focus mainly on the agriculture, apart from some human genetics also. It's very interesting one. That also 1 or 2 slides I prepared for you. So the agriculture major problem is the food crisis. It's going to happen because already 30% of the world population, it's under the starvations. Okay, another 30 to 40%, they are under the very less food. They are not getting enough food. So this food crisis in the future, if you estimate that it is 2050, they estimated that it's a major problem would be the food crisis. Then second major problem would be the reduction of the land under the cultivation, because lot of the urbanization is going. So you can find that, you can also witness that wherever the road goes, both the sides of the roads it's converted into the plot and other things. So the reduction of the land, especially under the cultivation, is coming down. Then resistant microorganism. So resistant microorganism means number of microorganism. It was very beneficial. Then it becomes resistant to many of the antibiotics and other things. So this will be the big crisis in the future. And life-threatening disease. Now you know that the COVID. So because of this, we all afraid about every country it is affected. So this also is a major issue in the future, in the life-threatening diseases. Then another one is the natural calamities. This also it will become a problem for the humankind, because the natural calamities, it's not in our hand. But the only thing is we should not disturb much about the nature. So that we'll have to take care in the futures. So now we'll see how that the biotechnology really benefits the humanity or not. That we are going to discuss. So what is the real fruits of the biotechnology? Okay, if anybody is having the doubts also, you can stop me in between also, because it's you can discuss. Okay, now we'll see the biotechnology, how it's benefiting the humanity. The basic biological research we can understand. The basics of the life we can understand with the help of the biotechnology, because it deals with the minor, like building blocks of the molecules, biomolecules. It is in the case of protein, we deal with the amino acid level. In case of DNA, it's deal with all the 4 bases. In case of lipids, fatty acids, we deal with the building blocks. So that's why the basics of the biological research we can understand through biotechnology. If you take the medical biotechnology, there are a number of application it has, and already people are doing that, the paternity test, pathogen test, there are a number of things. Then somatic gene therapy, this is developing now, somatic gene therapy, where we can specifically target some of the gene, whether to mutate or you can activate. This is the possible. For example, some genes, for example, ADA genes. ADA gene is one gene which problem for, there is a SID disease, severe combined immuno disease. So that disease is rarely it comes, but this through gene therapy, we can, the defective gene, ADA gene is a defective gene that can be removed, or we can add the healthy ADA genes to overcome the SID disease. Actually, SID disease, the people, those who are having the disease, they will, even simple fever can kill them, because they don't have the immunity. That is called the SID disease, severe combined immunodeficiency. So that gene therapy is successful. Now already one lady was tested with this gene therapy. There are a number of genes it is coming, including the cancer genes. Then the pharmaceuticals, this area where it's successful in the biotechnology, because the antibiotic, insulin, and the growth hormones, all those things now it's commercially available in the market. So that is the pharmaceutical is the best area where a lot of biotechnology benefits have come to the humankind. Then enzymes for the food manufacture, like if you look at the processed food and other things, so there are a number of enzymes, and it's are used in the to provide the healthy or nutrients and long stored the products for the human. So that is the another fruits harvested by the industries. Then the agriculture. Agriculture is the another major we are harvesting the biotechnology. One is the plant, new plants, like new plant cultivation with some of the useful products, and also GM crops. Of course, GM crops, you know, the genetically modified crops with the insect resistant, disease resistant, drought resistant, all those things we will see. So biotechnology uses the powerful technology to alter the genetic material, that is the DNA. Because DNA is the blueprint of our life. Okay, so how this gene is, it is give the trait for our human, not only human, any organisms. If you take that, the DNA is the basic building blocks. This gives the complete instruction how that it should behave, the genome. Okay, so you can see the DNA, how it's the double-strand DNA. This is coiled with histone proteins. It is packed in such a way in the chromosome. But of course, this chromosome, first of all, we can't see in the cell only, in the naked eyes. In the naked eyes, it is there in the cell. Again, under the cell, you can see that the nucleus. And the nucleus, you can see the chromosomes. In this chromosome, the instruction, how we behave, all this instruction in the DNA, it is available. So the nature, it's very, very peculiar that it has given the secrecy of life, everything in the genome. Okay. So now we are trying to identify how this is behaves, what are the defects are there, how we can rectify that. That work is done by the biotechnology scientist. Anybody know these two people? He is the hero of our biotechnology, Watson Crick and James Watson. Okay, so Watson Crick, these two people are the first discovered and told that DNA is a double strand. But they got the help from the Rosalind Franklin. That she's from London, where she has made the X-ray crystallography. With that, these two guys got the idea that the DNA must be the double strand. It is. So they got the Nobel Prize. Of course, that by the time Rosalind Franklin died, so she got posthumously. But these two people become the Nobel Prize winner. So how the gene is transferred, how it's possible to transfer from one organism to another organism. You can see that you take the virus. Virus is a primitive organism. Still, people have the doubt that whether virus is a living or non-living. Oh, some people say that it's non-living. Many people say that no, it is living. So it is the problem, including the COVID virus. Okay, virus is a primitive organisms. With that primitive organism, virus 2, advanced one is a human. You can see that all these organisms, bacteria, fungus, insect, plant, animal, everything. For all these living organisms, the genetic base material is this 4-1: adenine, guanine, thymine, and cytosine. So this is the basic building blocks for the DNA. It's common for all the living organisms. Because of that, we can transfer gene from one source to the another organisms. Otherwise, it's difficult to change any genetic character of any living organisms. So it has the DNA is the common name, of course. DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. Gene is it's a segment of DNA which has the promoter, terminator, and it can define some protein or enzymes. Okay, so genes are the instructions for all the living things used to build and maintain their cells. Okay, it contains all the instruction, and also it has the instruction that when should on, when should off. So how long it should express, when it should off. So like that, it's the secrecy of on-off light switch is there here. So we are human is trying to identify what is the switch, why some of the genes are active for continuously, and it's a particular period after that it goes off. So why some genes it's starting later, senescence genes. So like that, the on-off mechanism we are trying to find out. Once we find out this on-off mechanisms, we can win the nature. So how that the aging comes, how there is energetic genes are silenced, how the disease are on, how that gene we can mutate, all those things, the on-off mechanism is there. So that switch only people are trying to find out that, so that we can easily win the nature. This is the secrecy of life. Still, its nature is kept in the secrecy. So this you can see that why the particular gene is going off, why we get this senescence, aging, why we are getting. When this lady is looking young, energetic, beautiful, but when after particular age, particular period, why this goes like that? This all because of the gene only. The genes are active at a particular stage. It will be a particular period only it will be active. After that it goes off. But gene will be there, but it is not expressing. So people are trying to identify how we can activate the energetic gene, energetic metabolism, so that the senescent genes we can put it off. The young genes we can keep it always. Like that, there are work is going on the identifying the promoter and the regulators. He is another important person in the biological science. Okay, anybody knows his name? His name is Dr. Kary Mullis. He is the inventor of the polymerase chain reactions. He discovered in 1983. He got the Nobel Prize in 1993. Okay, the simple method is heating and cooling. He developed that one. This method, of course, now without PCR machine there is no any lab, because everyone working on the amplification of the DNA. This is the double strand DNA. we can artificially multiply particular segment of DNA with the help of the PCR. How we can do it? It's nothing but it's heating and cooling only. So first step is the denaturation. That is at particular 94 degrees Celsius. If you heat it, then it becomes the single strand. Okay. After that, annealing is another step where we can add some of the primers. This is a small fragment of DNA that's called as a primer. Then we can synthesize the complementary strand. Actually, DNA polymerase is one enzyme is responsible for that one. So that can synthesize the complementary sequence. Okay, but it's required some of the starting point that is called the primer. Once the starting points are get, then it quickly synthesizes the complementary strands. So that is annealing is the process where 45 to it goes different temperature. This step only it's a big challenges for the scientists. So we'll have to identify where it can properly bind at particular temperature. So this varies, the temperature varies. So 54 it's written here, but it's different from the for every organisms. Okay, it ranges even 45 to 60, 65 like that. It goes, it varies. Once this primer is properly annealed, then the third step would be the synthesizing extension. So it synthesizes the complementary sequence with the help of the tRNA, transfer RNA. Transfer RNA specifically, there are 20 amino acids are there. There are 20 amino acids with the transfer RNA. It comes and it keeps adds the complementary sequence. So that way this continues. Again, after that completion, again it goes to the next step. It will be the cycle one where we can target this particular sequence. We can target so millions of copies, only that particular sequence, because this primer is, it will add only that particular sequence. Okay. So suppose if you are looking for a 1 kb means 1000 base per DNA. So we can amplify 1 crore copy with 35 to 40 cycles. We can multiply it. It goes exponential state because first it will be 2, then after that it become 4, then 4 become 8, 16, then 64, like that it goes. The exponential state, it multiplies. There are number of types of PCR has come now. We are using some few only. There are total 36 types of PCR is there. For example, you know that COVID, the reverse transcriptase PCR, the real-time PCR. So reverse transcriptase, real-time PCR, this one. So this one is used successfully in the COVID test because this one is a reliable method. Of course, there is a ELISA test also there, the enzyme antigen antibody reactions, but that is as the false positive. Sometimes it won't detect properly. But this one is based on the DNA level, where we can identify the particular DNA, whether it is virus DNA, virus RNA is there or not. We can identify with the help of the real-time PCR. Real-time means when you run the instrument, it will quickly tell that whether this is amplifying or not. We can identify immediately. So that's why what is going on inside the machine, we can see in the monitor. So that's why it's called the real-time PCR. So even there are other like touchdown PCR we are using, Hotstar PCR we are using, then a ddPCR, differential display PCR, multiplex PCR, multiprime PCR. There are a number of things we are using, but there are other, it has the different applications. Accordingly, people are using it. So PCR become the major inventions in the biotechnology. Now we'll see what are the benefits of other biotechnology to the human. So here you can see that in 1982, this one was insulin was the human insulin. Initially, we were using the goat and the pig insulin for this treatment of the sugar patients. In 1982, the Gentech as a company, Humulin. So this is a form of human insulin produced by the bacteria. The gene is cloned into the bacterial system. Then it was fermented, it's multiplied and it's purified, and it's commercially available. Even if you go to any medical shop, so this insulin is available with a very cheap rate. Okay. Then other medical products like hormones, vitamins, vaccines, anything, any you take, especially antibiotics, any antibiotics if you take that, all it is through the biotech product only. You can see this all the industries where they are multiplying this, the fermenter, this all the fermenters where multiplying this vaccine, hormones, antibiotics, and it's processed and it's commercially available to in the market. So antibiotic, almost all the antibiotics in the country or in the world, it's available in the patent. So all it is a biotech product only. So if you purchase any medicine, you can just see that the barcode will be there. The barcode is, you can find that it's a antibiotics patent number. So almost all the antibiotics is a patented. Then another important enzyme is a streptokinase. This is important enzyme. It dissolves the blood clot in the body. Some people have even for the accident case. So if any internal injury is there, internal blood veins are blocked by the blood clots. So the streptokinase enzyme is given the injections so that this dissolve these blood clots. Okay. So this, our Indian Institute also, one of the IMTech, they are having the patent of this streptokinase. So this is another fruits of biotechnology where the test tube baby. The first test tube baby, 1978. She is the first test tube baby. Their parents. So that is just Louise Brown. Her name is Louise Brown. Now she must be 42 years, I think, 42 years old. So she was created by the British professor Robert Edwards. He got 2010 only. Although 78, the first baby is developed, but he got the Nobel Prize in 2010. Now more than 4 million babies, their IVF method, they are produced. Even in India, you can find that number of the clinic, they started the test tube baby centers. Even Nagpur, we have the 2 centers, I think. So then another important is the gene therapy. Now we can remove or we can stop the defective gene and introduce the healthy genes. Abnormal gene we can swap by the normal genes. That is possible through the gene therapy. They already told that one Arvind D. Silva, she got the treatment, gene therapy. So then another important breakthrough is the human genome projects. Human genome projects. So this, when it was started and how much base pairs we have is, here you can see that it started in 1990. Of course, they told that it may take 15 to 20 years, but they completed in 2003. 2001, it was the draft was ready. Actually, I have the draft also because it's published in the Science Journal. So whenever you people visit Nagpur, I can show this map. It is there with me. So the techniques use this DNA sequencing. Okay, there are 3 billion base pairs are available in our body. It's a position and the role of every gene we can study. So before this completion of this human genome project, 20 to 25,000 genes are already discovered because this is single genes discovered. Chromosome 1 is the biggest chromosome. You can see that. The smallest one is the 21. Okay. So if you look at the other informations, 5 to 7 chromosomes, less genes are packed. If you look at here, 7, 5, 6 and all, less genes will be available. But 19th chromosome, it has the lot of important genes. 19th chromosome packed full of functional genes. So any genes defective here, the 19th chromosome only major functional genes it carries. So some of the defective genes are here, its functional genes are in the 19th chromosome. Then 400 to 500 inherited disease causing genes are present in the 19th chromosome. Okay. Then regarding the GM crops. So this is our area where we produce the genetically modified crops. One for the disease or insect resistant. The best example is the Bt cotton. Okay, that is that carries the bacterial genes, Bacillus thuringiensis. So this genes, GM cotton is we already introduced in India. It's going successfully. Then another one of the important GM crop is the improvement of food quality or nutrition value. So food quality is although we are not growing in India, But in other countries, many countries, including USA, Australia, Canada and all, the maize is, they are using it, genetically modified. Tomato, papaya, there are 32 crops are available in the GM food crops. Okay. Even the golden rice, Philippines, they developed already golden rice. So they are using it. BT brinjal, everything. So, but in India, only cotton is allowed because we have kind of reservations and a lot of against group of against the GM crops, especially food crops. But government of India did not allow that for productions. Then increase the crop productivity because our demand keep on increasing means we need to develop more food to meet the demand. Then tolerance to herbicide. This is another important crop where it has come in the cotton also. So this herbicide HT cotton, we call it as herbicide tolerant cotton, where the labor is the problem, where people they simply spray the herbicide. So that weedicide also you can call it as, so that all the weeds will be died. So only the crop will be there. So because that carries the genetic gene, the modified genes. Then functional food enhancement, vitamins and edible food also, it is available. This is the first BT cotton. In 1996, the first GM cotton is cultivated in USA, Australia and Mexico by the Monsanto company. It's a multinational company. The same company only it has given to Myco, an Indian company. In 2002, they introduced after trial, after testing all those things, different agroclimatic regions, they introduced in 2002. How this does is, it's a crystal protein. This is the crystal protein. This crystal protein, once ingested by the insects, if it eats, then you can find that there will be a the midgut portions. It carries that receptors. The protein goes and binds to the receptor molecules. Then it will make a hole in the body. Okay, how that the mode of action I'm just telling. After the protein engulfed by the insects, it get activated by with the saliva. It is solubilized and you will get the active protein. But now what we are using is, we have removed the solubilization process. Whether this insect solubilizes or not, directly it can go and bind to the midgut portions. Then midgut portion, once if it binds, then it gets the like kind of fever. So it won't feed further in the field. So it will make the holes in the body. This protein, it will make the holes in the body. Then this insects, the larvae, it has the body full of water molecules. So it will ooze out. Once this ooze out, then it loses the turgidity. Then finally it goes to the death of the protein. This is how that the receptor and the protein molecules binds here. Okay. So then it will make a hole. Then it will be, the cells will be dying. Then finally the insect larvae. This is the larvae. Before become a butterfly or moth, it will become is like that. This is called as a larvae. This larvae will be killed at the initial stage only. So this is, of course, the BT cotton is introduced, okay, in India in 2002. But so, but the lot of NGOs and other people, they said that no, we didn't want BT brinjal because this BT protein may be toxic. Of course, this toxic is only the insect system. But the scientific forum everywhere, they explain that it is safe only. But still India, they did not allow because of this lot of NGOs are against the BT brinjal. But in Bangladesh, they already released in 2012. It's related to all the markets. It's are available. I don't know, but when you test it, you may find that BT brinjal also here. This also eggplant, we call it as eggplant also. You can see that how eggplants are there. But what happens exactly why this the fruit borer it's enter. If you see that, how this BT technology would be useful for the BT brinjal. So when the adult moth, okay, it lay the egg in the fruiting body, where it takes 3 days to enter, hatch that egg, then enter the larvae in days. Only it takes 2 to 3 hours to enter into the system. Once this comes out from the egg, it enters quickly to the fruiting body. Inside it goes. So once if it goes inside, so if you spray, keep on spray, how many times if you spray chemicals, nothing will happen, because it is in the safe house. It goes enter into the fruit. Okay, you can find that. There will be small hole will be there. We can't also even make it, because neonate larvae from the egg. You can find that microscope only will see that how that looks like. Enter into the fruits. Okay, it takes only 2 to 3 hours to enter. Once if it goes, then 9 to 14 days it will be there inside of the fruit. Okay, then it matures. After that, you can find that cocoon, you can okay, then its ruptures comes out. It like this kind of beautiful marks, it will come out. Again it goes. This is a life cycle. But when you do it BT, so when comes out this this neonate larvae comes out stage, that stage only it will be killed. So that no need to spray chemicals, particularly this period. Who can monitor that 2 to 3 hours when it will come? We do not know. So if BT brinjal is there, then we can protect 24 to 7 hours. That's why that we are recommending. But of course, there is a IRI New Delhi. We are our institute only. So they already tested everything ready, but they did not allow, including the HT cotton also they are not allowing. So this is the herbicide I told you. The herbicide cotton they did not allow, because there are a lot of green leaf vegetables we are using. Animals are used for resistant herbicide cotton. So this is the example of soybean. You can see that the soybean is the HT soybean, herbicide tolerant soybean. These all the weeds are there of weed. This normally Indian people eat these amaranthus weeds. Okay, so when you spray the herbicide, you can see that. So all the weeds will be died. Only the resistant soybean will be there. Cotton also same situations. Okay, the principle behind this one is the herbicide. This affects the EPSP synthase enzyme. This is the main for the protein synthesis of plants. Okay, so especially aromatic amino acids, the EPSP synthase enzyme is involved. When you spray this chemical, the aromatic amino acid, phenylalanine, tyrosine, and tryptophan. These are aromatic amino acids. So this is important for the protein productions. This will get affected by this glyphosate. Okay, but transgenic cotton, what they are doing is they put that the herbicide resistant EPSP synthase gene. So when you spray the chemicals, the transgenic, this enzyme won't affected by the glyphosate. Okay, so this will keep on producing the aromatic amino acid proteins, so that it won't affect any plant system. But weeds, it will get affected and it will die. So this is the mechanism involved in the HT cottons. Okay, so this is how that glyphosate will affect the weeds, but it won't affect the cotton plant or resistant plants, any plants. Now it is available in the different format, like not only the BT genes. Again, they put the other gene called the stacking of the genes, or also call it as a pyrimiding. So we have put 2-3 genes together and it's releasing. But India is not allowing, although we did that testing and all, but they did not allow this HT cotton. Problem with GM cotton in India is only first one is the NGOs. They are first of all they are doing against that GM. Second one is the biosafety regulations are very strict. It's very difficult to release it quickly. It takes nearly 5 to 10 years. The third one is the farmers face the problem of some seed, because the seeds are available in the hybrid form. So farmers every time they'll have to go and purchase it. So that is a big issue. Then fourth one is the resistant insect develop the resistant. For example, now BT cotton is released in 2002. It's going on very well till 2015, no problem. Now the pink bollworm in cotton, it's developed the resistance, because the pressure develops by insect means insect automatically mutate itself and it's developed the resistance. Because of that, we are facing up the now resistant break, so that it's very difficult. Once if it is resistant develops, then it can easily eat all the transgenic plants. So transgenic, it won't work well. So this is some of the issues with the GM plant. So tug of war is going on between the scientists and the insects. Sometimes we are winning, sometimes they are winning. So now we won that with American bollworm, but pink bollworm had developed the resistance. Now pink bollworm is it's eating all the transgenic plants. So we don't know what to do now. Finger crossed. So some management practice only we are telling, but still the tug of war going between the insects and scientists. There are a number of food products. It's already come. Golden rice, I told you, it's rich of beta carotene. So many people, the carrot is the best one, of course, but everyone is not getting the carrot. Some of around 60% of the people in the world, they are not access to the carrot, the fruit, but rice they are access. So that's why they are made that carotene precursor for the vitamin A. So this golden rice would be very useful for them. So then vaccine through plants, then corn and wheat rice, these all the enriched food, it's coming. Many more are in the pipelines. So this is all the GM food crops. Then recently, then USDA, that is the United States Department of Agriculture, they approves the modified potato. Actually, this potato, when you fry it, so what happens? Some of the acrylamide it forms. Acrylamide is very dangerous chemicals. So this is when you fry it in the oil, it forms the acrylamide. So it's a poisonous chemicals if you potato if you fry it. So this potato is braced with the harvesting and shipping. So we can lose some of the value and become unusable. So new potato also resists the bruising. That is this kind of browning it comes. So this all we can develop with the transgenic potato. So this all approved by this patent was approved by in 2014 only. So it's available in the commercial now in the potato. Then genome editing is another important gift for the biotechnology scientists and other biological research, where we can precisely edit the genome. So with the help of this mega nucleus, this is all the mega nucleus. There are 3 mega nucleus is there. One is the zinc finger. Another one is the telon. That is the transcription activator like effector nucleus. This one, zinc finger. But the top one is the CRISPR-Cas. So these all the 3 important technique. With that technique, we can use and edit the genome. The defective gene can be mutated, or you can stop it, or some useful gene can be activated, or useful genes can be introduced into the system. That is possible with the help of the CRISPR-Cas. What is the CRISPR-Cas? It's a clustered, regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats. So we can precisely edit this genome with the help of the Cas9. Cas9 is the enzyme. Cas full form is the CRISPR-associated protein, associated protein 9. So this enzyme is precisely cut the DNA RNA molecules, and we can make the introduce our genes, or you can silence the genes. Okay, this technology has the potential to revolutionize this science. Okay, it has the we can make the reverse genetics tool in the plant research. It is important tool for functional studies. If you want to know that whether this gene is very important in the function, we can identify, because the genome pool is a very so oceans. We do not know that which gene is responsible for a particular trait. But with the help of the CRISPR-Cas, we can identify which gene is responsible for a particular trait or character. So that way, the genetic disorder can be, we can rectify it. In normally what happens, there is the mechanism, if you look at that one. So this all we can design our gene like this, okay, with the help of the guide RNA. This guide RNA only very, very important, where this guide RNA, it will guide to enter into the cells, and it can, before that, I would like to tell that how this, the mechanism is coming. Whenever the bacteria, normally bacteria get infected by the virus, okay, you can see the bacterial size is this much, virus you can see that this much. So it's a very, very primitive organism. Virus, what it does, it inject the DNA. You can see here, it just inject the DNA. Once this inject the DNA, this bacteria acquisition takes place, where it can take this all this informations. It can gene get integrated. Suppose if it is not integrated, then the bacteria, it will lyse it and it will multiply. The virus particle, it will multiply in the cells of bacteria, and it will lyse the cells, and it goes out a lot of virus particle. But if it is not lysing, then it will get integrated into the system. Like that, it will get integrated here. Okay. Then you will get lot of the informations in the DNA. Okay. That is the acquisition of the foreign DNA. Then synthesis and maturation of the CRISPR RNA. This is all the CRISPR RNA you will get. Okay. Then third one is whenever the other virus particle comes here, it attacks. So it's already have the informations. Based on that, it can precisely cut these invading virus particle, so it can destroy the genome. So this principle only we are using in the method. Here, based on that informations, we identify some of the guide RNA. This is the guide RNA. This PAM sequence is very important, where this particular sequence, the guide RNA get integrated. Okay, this goes and integrated in the complementary sequence. Wherever the complementary sequence is there, here, this is the entry point in the PAM sequence, where this can go and enter, and the enzymes, the Cas9 can cut both the side. Whenever the DNA RNA joining is there, then this Cas9 recognize this DNA RNA joining point, especially the PAM sequence, and it can cut it here. Once it's cut, then your entire gene here, this gene get integrated here, the complementary sequence. Okay. Why this is very important in the transgenic crop is, suppose if you have some 10 genes at a time, so we can put everything along with this guide RNA and Cas9. This Cas9 is just entering that. Here your DNA, you can put it here, so that this guide RNA will take you precisely on this place where we can introduce. So this particular entry point, we can design the target DNA where it should get integrated. So this sequence we can design. Particular sequence, I want edit this place only. So you can put this sequence accordingly, so that this foreign gene we can integrate here. Once this integration takes place, the natural sealing mechanism, repair mechanism will repair it. This once if it goes, we can introduce DNA. This will ligate it. That it will become sealed. So this will be available. So mutagenesis also we can make it, or we can introduce the foreign gene. So like that, there are a number of applications it has. So these are two people, Emmanuel Charpentier and Jennifer Doudna. So they only first they reported, they got the Nobel Prize this year only, 2020. They got the Nobel Prize in the chemistry for the invention of CRISPR-Cas system. So you can, what is the application? If you see that we can knock out the gene using the Cas9 guide RNA. So particular gene function we can identify. If you insert with your target gene, so we can sequence, then we can, that particular function will be, it will be disappearing. For example, the cancer genes, we can knock out the genes, target that particular gene sequence. Then also we can genome knockout, we can do it. Here only gene knockout, we can do the genome knockout also with the help of this Cas9 system. Then multiplex CRISPR system is possible. Like multiple genes, we can, I told you, multiple genes can be, you can delete or add, you can add it. They did it with the rice and the Arabidopsis. Then nucleus deactivated for transcriptional regulation. We can do the negative regulation also. For example, if I want to stop particular gene, then the other gene activity will be more. For example, what we are identified is now in the cotton, when you stop particular gene through the CRISPR technique, we can stop it that one. Then the bole size of the cotton is increasing. So like that, they already one report is there. So based on that, we are trying to identify when you stop particular gene, then what would be the other gene activity. Okay, like the phytochrome genes are there. We can stop the phytochrome. Then you can find that number of other genes get activated. So there are gene function we can identify with the help of the CRISPR-Cas. There are a number of applications it is there, but the main application will be precisely we can add the gene, or we can precisely delete the gene, precisely target the gene, function of the genes we can identify, number of genes can be transferred. So in the future CRISPR-Cas system is human gene therapy, mainly because a lot of funds are given by the, there are so many organizations gives dumping fund to the medical research, where you do some research for the cancer, you do the research for the other AIDS and other viruses. Like even the COVID, lot of companies are coming forward, and even the what is that company that they've given a lot of money for the Bill Gates Foundations given a lot of fund for the identifying the vaccines for CRISPR. Okay, what they are doing is with what we can do in the CRISPR method, where we can screen the drug targets site. So that is called the suppose the cancer gene is, the cancer cell is there. So the cancer cell has some of the surface determinants. Surface determinant means it has some site where the drug can go and bind. If that site is identified with the help of the CRISPR, okay, when you introduce or knock out some genes, you can then the particular cancer cells get some kind of target sites where this drug can go and bind to that particular site and it can kill. So this is possible in the future. Okay. Then also we can euchological vector control, mosquito sterilization. This already they did in some of the places like the Singapore. There one was a big its publication that so the mosquito, the sterilized mosquito, they are releasing into the environment where it can go and mate with the female, where it can make it the sterile. It won't it won't pinch our human to suck the blood. So that kind of mosquito sterilization program also through this CRISPR-Cas is possible. And also viral gene disruption like the COVID, this work is going on. Pathogen gene disruption. So the active genes will be there, the housekeeping genes, some of the functional genes will be there, that we can make it non-functional with the help of the introducing the CRISPR-Cas genes. Agriculture, of course, agriculture, crops and animal system, there are a number of genes we can transfer. Now we are transferring only one gene, BT gene, or 2 genes maximum. But at a time we can transfer 10 genes, 15 genes through this CRISPR-Cas. That is also possible. Synthetic biology, pathway engineering. So I told you that on-off mechanism, there are a number of genes are controlling the metabolic pathways that we can modify, change it, will become energetic always. Take some of the tablets, it will keep you always young. Some take some tablet that will keep you always, it won't make it on-off senescent genes. You won't get gray hairs, you won't get skin toughness, you will lose that skin toughness. All those things we can make it the pathway engineering. The metabolic pathway engineering, it's possible in the synthetic biology. Okay. Then we can, of course, RNA targeting. So RNA, we can program that where it should go and make it mutagenesis. That particular mutagenesis, if it make it, then that particular defective gene it won't express. Some people have the genetic defect like the mouth saliva control they don't have. This is because of some genes are defective genes. That defective genes can be stopped and normal healthy genes can be transferred. This is all by RNA targeting that is possible. Biomedicines, like some of the antibiotics are eat labels, where we love to, you cannot cook the food and eat. Like banana type of fruits, directly we can take the food without any cooking and other things. Like some of the genes or antibiotic genes are now they're introducing into the fruit system, where directly the antibiotics are available in the fruits. Suppose if you are fever, you take this particular banana, which has the some of the antibiotics. So this is all possible. That's all the work is going on in that, how to express that some of the vaccines, some of the antibiotics in the plants as fruit system, where it will express the antibiotics. Like vaccines, insulin also. The insulin work is going on. Insulin, where if you take this particular green apple, where you will have this insulin, you will have the vaccines. Okay, even the COVID also, it may come in the future. We do not know when it will hit the market. Okay, so is the Norman Borlaug is a major person, like in the Green Revolution. You might have heard about that. Green is the father of Green Revolutions. In India, M.S. Swaminathan was a father of Green Revolutions. What they did is, he has given the wheat, the short-term wheat, 90 days crop wheat and rice. He has freely given to the all the different countries. Then because of this is magnanimous, he was given not in the science, he was given in the Nobel Prize in the peace, because he gave that all this grains and other things, let the poor people can eat. Like that, the short-term varieties he has given to the people, including India, he has given. So that's why his name, he is the father of Green Revolutions. Okay, he got the Nobel Prize also in 2000. So what he said is, transgenic plants have been hailed as a powerful way to increase agriculture productivity and help the alleviate hunger in the underdeveloped nations. Okay, but this technology also have the raised concern over the health and biosafety and environmental risk, because we want, it should not affect the environment and should not affect the health of the human. That's why the biosafety, the safety of human and environment is very, very important. If you take care of this, the biosafety, then this can definitely help the future agriculture. That's what he said. Because especially our country, it's like if you look at the cultivatable land, when you compare with other countries, we are blessed with the cultivable lands. Compared to China also, you can see that we always compare China, you can see that China land is, the cultivable land is less, but their population is huge, better than, more than us. Okay, India, we have all kind of agroecological systems where we are blessed with all the crop it can grow here. So of course, USA, the cultivable lands are more, but in India also better with compared to other countries. That because of that only, we are able to produce enough quantity of rice and pulses or wheat required for our country. So we are able to feed these multiplying mouths. So you can see that number one position in India. You can see that irrigation system, India is best. Okay. So total pulses, good. Cotton also we are the first now. Milk production, livestock is first. This green and all, it's second. Of course, we are population-wise, we are in second. We are going to overtake now China. Then, of course, the active population, the economically active population also, we are in second place. So there are a number of things. But if you oil production, if you take that oil seeds, although we are second, but our demand is huge. 250 million tons we need, but we are producing only 10 million tons. Okay. So that way, the oil we are importing. So there are a number of improvements we'll have to make it. All this depends on the agriculture. So, nevertheless, lack of broad-based and inclusive growth of benefit to all the sections of society and improve economic growth. So, although we are in the number of places where number 1, number 2, number 3, but we need this inclusive growth. Inclusive growth means everyone should grow, not only the agriculture or medicines or some industries. No, everyone has to grow, even from the lower poor people to the rich people. Everyone has to grow that together. That's why it's called as inclusive growth. It should be needed. Then issues and challenges of in 5 elements of inclusive growth: poverty, and employment, agriculture, social sector, regional disparities, and all. Because our country is diversified with all those things. Okay, through religion and the state-wise languages, we have a lot of problems that we should make it an inclusive growth. It's more challenging for the country to achieve the inclusive growth than the getting 8 to 10% of the growth in GDP, because now we are very poor in the GDP, but we'll have to reach the 8 to 10% GDP. Population, of course, you know that India is now second, okay, 1.2 billion. Of course, this is old data. Probably this is very old. Now we are 1.4. They have 5.7 something, China. So world population, this was the percentage. We want to feed these multiplying mouths. So this all depends on the agriculture research only. So this is my final slide. Every culture bound to fail if agriculture fails. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. That was really, you know, very informative and nice session. We already have comments in the chat box.
Yes.
Santosh Vincent K sir is saying that it is a very informative session, sir, and he is also requesting for the PowerPoint presentation, Santosh sir, and this is also for the other participants. All these sessions which will be conducted during this STTP will be available on YouTube channel of our college.
Yeah, so definitely. I will send you, no problem.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, sir. And
yeah,
Srinivasini S ma'am is also writing seriously informative session, and thank you so much is what she is saying.
Okay.
So,
if anybody has some questions, you can ask me. Otherwise, we can, you can proceed as per your program.
Sir, are layman questions also allowed? By that I mean, if we are not from the, if we do not have that background of biotechnology.
Please.
Sir, I was curious about. Yes, I was curious about one thing. I want this. I watched this movie of Rajinikanth. I don't remember the name of it. And in the movie, it was shown that you mentioned that there is a war which is going on between the scientists and the insects, right? The insects that are attacking the plants and all. So it was shown that these insects are winning because we are cutting down the trees, and because of that, the birds are dying. So is it really true? And if yes, then to what extent, and what can we do to, you know?
That is correct. Actually, this is partially true only, because what happens, the deforestation, deforestation is a major one where the birds watching will be there in the normally in the field also. If you see that many times the bird, even plowing time, you can find that lot of crane and other thing, birds will be picking that insects. Okay, when you plow the land. Same way, there is another program, one project also we are doing it here, where in the field condition, if you go and see that, some birds will be picking up some of the larvae, that is there. But nowadays, that amount has come down, because that is also one reason. Otherwise, naturally, the natural beneficial insects are there, like spider and other other insect systems are available that can eat the larvae. That and all, it's come down now. So that is also one reason. Birds is one reason, and other beneficial insects, we are spraying some chemicals, means it will kill invariably all the insect system. That's why the GM cotton would be very, very beneficial. But the problem for birds, it is not coming nowadays much, because of deforestation. Okay, that is also there. Of course, that is correct on your question. GMO will help in the keeping the beneficial insect system intact. If you go and see in the field conditions, spider will be there, other the ladybird beetle will be there, then lace-wing insect is there. It will all kill the larvae. So that is, it is there in the intact. That's why it's called as the IPM technology. We are keeping all together. And also there's a pheromone trap now. For pink bollworm, we are introducing the pheromone trap system, where it can attract the male insects, so the male adult, so that we can destroy the pink bollworm incidents. So this is also there. Yeah. Next, any more questions?
Okay. I think there is a question from Shraddha Mahendra ma'am, and she says that instead of GMO, can we go for CSRI SPR edited resistance genes?
Which one? GMO?
She's asking
GMO. Yes, I got that question. Instead of GMO, can we go for CRISPR edited resistant gene? Yes, of course. That's what I was telling. So through GMO, we are introducing only 1 or 2 genes only. But CRISPR-Cas, we can edit. Normally, what happens in the GMO crop, we are introducing the gene through agrobacterium random. It is a random, wherever it goes, and it integrates. But what we are doing, we are screening where it's integrated. So which place, which host genome it's integrated. One incident, what happens, this gene get integrated in the flowering traits. Then it won't flower. Although the gene is integrated, but it won't flower. So this becomes a non-specific integration through the GMO approach. But in the CRISPR-Cas, we can precisely introduce the BT gene or any other number of genes. Now only one gene, you can introduce 4 or 5 genes together and introduce precisely that particular non-functional genes where it can integrate and segregate. So that way, the CRISPR-Cas, definitely we can introduce the gene precisely, all the resistant gene together. Yeah, this is possible. It's a nice question. Yeah. No, CRISPR-Cas, Jayashree from Jayashree, they have written that CRISPR-Cas also sometimes random selections. No, it is not random. Precisely, we can introduce the gene with the help of the target sequence. Target sequence we can introduce where it should integrate. That is possible. It won't be the random. CRISPR is a very precise. That's why it's called as genome editing particular sequence. We can edit the particular sequence with the help of the CRISPR-Cas9. I will share my PPT so that you can use it. No problem. Then any other questions? According to our country, GMO causing wrong impact in our India, but creating resistance plant is good to know. Yes, resistant plant. What happened, especially for the wrong impact is they may be correct only because what happens, the pressure develops for GMO. Now we already got the pink bollworm is resistant to BT cotton, so this will come. The same thing with the HT cotton also, HT herbicide resistant. Some of the weeds develop the resistance. So you can find that even if you spray the glyphosate and the herbicide or weedicide, some weeds is not dying because it developed that mutations. It's a nature. That's why I'm saying the tug of war. When we do something, the nature has its ability to overcome that one. So even if you take 100 people, you give some particular drug. So you cannot dye all you can't make them all same method of dyeing or something resistant. It's a developing internally. It will develop that automatically develop the resistance. We don't have any control. It's a survival of the fittest. So it develops automatically. That's why I was saying 100 insects, if you treat with a particular chemical, 1 or 2 will survive. How this is surviving? Because it's a gene actions. So one gene is mutated, then it will become insensitive to the particular chemical. So it will take. So this is a possibility. It's going to be threatening, or it's a threatening type only, but we can't. We'll have to fight with the nature. How this is going to solve these issues? We are trying to find out some of the gene action only. Suppose this has got mutated, then what we can do it. So like BOLGOT2 is the one you might have heard about that. When you introduce only one gene, then insects develop the mutations, and it's that particular protein, it won't be sensitive. That's why we are making a 2 genes, so that when the insects mutated himself, then the other gene will kill that one. So 2 mutations at a time, it cannot make insect system. That's why we're introducing the 2 genes. Like multiple genes we can introduce so that insect cannot develop the resistance. So that way we can prolong the resistant development by the insects. But we can't say that anytime it may break everything and it will come out, because this all gene action is there inside. This is possible. Any other questions? Yeah, I think I can share my PPT so that you can use it. No problem. Okay. Abhijit?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for a wonderful session. And now, sir, it is time for virtual inauguration.
Yeah.
What we will be doing is we will be sharing a presentation wherein there will be kind of an inauguration at your hands. So,
yeah.
Just a minute.
You want that PPT? Shall I send to your mail, or you can take?
Yes, sir. If you will mail it on the official ID of principal, sir, then we'll share it from there with others. That will be great.
No problem. I can send it.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Just a minute, sir. When I start sharing the screen, and then.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, please.
So kindly send the presentation on the email. So I was just saying that.
Yeah. Sure. Your email ID is.
I will write in the chat box.
Yeah, please. You can.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, just a check. Is my screen visible? Can we see the first slide?
Yeah.
Okay. Just a minute, sir. So I welcome you all to this inaugural function, and this is at the hands of our honorable guest, Dr. G. Balasubramani sir. So we hereby declare that the program is inaugurated.
Yeah, yes. Okay, this one.
So basic information about Ballarpur Institute of Technology. It is a technical campus with NAC accreditation, offering 4 years undergraduate engineering programs in 7 branches. The branches are listed here: civil, mechanical, electrical, electronics and telecommunication, computer science, mining and food technology. And we also have two-year PG programs in 5 branches, and the branches are also listed here. Again, a 2-year MBA program and 3-year MCA programs. Diploma engineering course is also run, that is Polytechnic, by the organization. It is a lush green campus across 15 acres. So we're expecting that this technological revolution in industrial and agricultural sectors in the next decade will be substantially and beneficially influenced by biotechnology. And that is where we see that there is a great potential for improving agricultural productivity. And that is the reason we are trying to conduct such training programs on this particular topic, so that we can spread information about various biotechnological advancements. That is our patron, Dr. Sanjay Vasade sir. He is working president of BIT. And then we have Dr. Rajnikant sir, who is already with us in the session. Is our coordinator for this program, Dr. Archana Nimkar ma'am. She is professor in Ballarpur Institute of Technology, and our co-coordinator, Mr. Neeraj Baid sir, who is also professor in Ballarpur Institute of Technology. Some rules and regulations which we will be discussing after this session, of course. That will be all. Thank you so much. So now I would like to request our honorable coordinator for this short-term training program, Dr. Archana Nimkar ma'am, to please propose a vote of thanks. Archana ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Abhijit sir. Hope I am audible.
Yes, ma'am, loud and clear.
Yeah, yes.
Good morning, sir. It was very nice session conducted by you. Thank you very much. First of all, I welcome you on behalf of BIT. Now I formally start my vote of thanks. It gives me the immense pleasure to propose the vote of thanks on the occasion of inaugural ceremony of STTP conducted by Ballarpur Institute of Technology. First of all, I would like to thank our patron, Mr. Sanjay Vasade sir, for motivating us to conduct such programs. Next, I express my deep sense of gratitude towards our director and principal of BIT, Dr. Rajnikant sir, who is guiding light to take initiative to conduct this, who has been always a constant source of inspiration and who has taken initiative to conduct this STTP. I thank AICT for giving us an opportunity to conduct STTP in online mode. It was actually permitted to take in offline mode, and now it is being conducted on online mode due to Corona pandemic. Thank you, AICT. My special thanks to Abhijit sir, who is taking constant effort to make this program a grand success. Without his effort, we would not be able to conduct this STTP so efficiently. No, my extreme thanks to our special guest, Dr. Balasubramani sir. I thank you, sir, for chairing this inaugural function and enlightening us regarding the use of biotechnology in agriculture, especially with respect to cotton improvement. We are using this technology, biotechnology, to improve the various crops, including cotton, and you have enlightened us how this tool is used in various field of agriculture as well as food technology and others also, including medicine and all. And this is very interesting to learn how the biotechnology is being used, because we are facing the very serious problem of Corona pandemic. Thank you very much, sir, for being with us and taking your valuable time to guide us on this occasion. And we are lucky to have you as guest to enlighten us on this particular topic. Thank you very much, sir, for being with us. And I also thank all the members of our organizing committee who have been in constant effort to make this program a success. And last but not the least, I would like to thank all enthusiastic, keen learners, that is the participants, without whom this program would not have been possible. Thank you very much for being with us. Thank you. And I request all the participants to join the next session at 2:30 p.m. in which our next speaker, Dr. Harit Jha, professor from Guru Ghasidas Vishwavidyalaya, Bilaspur, will guide us on this next session. Thank you very much for being with us. Thank you so much. Abhijit, over to you now.
Thank you. Thanks to Abhijit and principal and all the participants. You can have a nice time, I think. Oh, the 1 week training program would be very nice. All the very best for everyone.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, so many thanks to all the participants for being with us and attending the inaugural function. Now I request all of you to please join us back at 2:30 p.m. Our next session, as already announced by Dr. Archana Nimkar ma'am, will be conducted by Dr. Harit Jha sir, who happens to be a professor in Guru Ghasidas University of Bilaspur, and you can use this very same link which was forwarded to you in the morning to attend the session, which will start at 2:30 p.m. It is a humble request to join us 5 minutes prior to the session so that we can start the session right at 2:30 p.m. Okay. So the link to share feedback will be shared in the evening. After the second session, we will be sharing link to share feedback for both the sessions. There are a few queries in the chat box. So if you wish, you can still stay in the room, or you can disconnect now and connect back at 2:30 p.m. Thank you so much.